Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Even Tacos Fall Apart. I'm MommaFoxFire, and today we're diving into a topic that's incredibly important and often misunderstood, and that's autism and embracing who you are. We've all heard a lot about autism in the media, I'm sure, but there's still so much that isn't talked about openly. And from the outside, it might seem like a topic that's either heavily stigmatized or even oversimplified. But today, we're going to break through those surface-level discussions and get into what it really means to embrace yourself, especially when you're navigating the world with autism. My guest today is Sam Mitchell, and Sam has a lot of insights to share. Diagnosed with autism, Sam has been on a journey of self-acceptance and advocacy. He's here to talk about what that journey has looked like, how it has changed his life, and how it can help others on similar paths. Autism is a spectrum, and it affects many people in many different ways. For some, it might mean navigating sensory sensitivities, communication challenges, or social interactions in a different way. For others, it might mean discovering unique strengths or unique weaknesses or passions and talents. And understanding autism isn't about fitting everyone into a single mold, but recognizing and respecting each person's unique experiences and unique needs. In our conversation, we're going to talk about the growing awareness and understanding of autism. It's not just about diagnosis, it's about what comes after that, how people with autism can find their own path to success and fulfillment. Sam will share his personal experiences and how social media has offered both support and a platform for spreading awareness. We'll also touch on some common misconceptions, like the idea that autism is overdiagnosed, or that everyone with autism is low functioning. These stereotypes only serve to create barriers and misunderstandings. By the end of this episode, I hope you'll have a clearer picture of the real, diverse experiences of those on the autism spectrum and why embracing who you are is crucial. Whether you're someone with autism or just interested in learning more, this episode has valuable perspectives and hopefully some practical advice. Sam's candid and authentic approach to discussing his experiences is something I think you'll find both eye-opening and inspiring. Remember, this show is not just about learning, it's about connecting, sharing, and growing together. So as we jump into the interview, think about how these discussions around self-acceptance and understanding can apply to your own life and the lives of those you care about. Hello and welcome back to another Mental Health Monday. I'm very excited for tonight's conversation. I have a wonderful guest joining me today. This is Sam Mitchell, and we're going to be talking about autism and embracing who you are. So a little bit about Sam. Sam is a high-functioning human being on the autism spectrum, but he has a mission, and that's to show people that he is not broken, does not need to be fixed. There is no normal in this world, and he is successful with autism. Sam wants to celebrate the successes of all. He embraces who he is and feels as though everyone should do the same. His mission has caught on, and this powerful and extraordinary idea is catching on and has gotten the world's attention. People are differently abled, not disabled, which we're going to talk about tonight. And along with his nonprofit, Autism Rocks and Rolls, Sam is in college, majoring in media and entrepreneurship. He found his niche and love in podcasting in high school when he joined his high school's media club. Podcasting became his passion, and he started his own, like I said, Autism Rocks and Rolls. And Sam now wants to change the perspective of autism, destigmatizing the negativity that often surrounds this type of brain wiring. Sam is using his platform first and foremost to help those on the spectrum or anyone that feels as though they do not belong because they simply feel different. He also loves dogs, spending time outdoors, spending time with his family, creative writing, blogging, ziplining, traveling, and watching WWE. So if you are interested in connecting with Sam, I've got lots of socials. I'm going to post those now. And if you want to connect with him in any way, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, website, any of it, his podcast, all of it, it's on here. So make sure that you check that out. And Sam, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
You're welcome. You might want to translate and spend time with the dogs, because unfortunately I lost my dog tonight. So
I am so
hate to be the
sorry.
bearer of bad news, but unfortunately
I'm so sorry about that.
It happens. But rest
Yeah.
in peace. But she was a good one, definitely a good one.
What kind of dog was she?
Cane Corso.
Oh, those are beautiful, beautiful dogs. Well,
They're beautiful, but they're big, and we like big dogs. But one kick with the big dog is they don't live as long as like a Chihuahua.
That's true. That's true. We had a Weimaraner who lived to be 14, and we had to put him down. Not terribly long. I mean, it was more than a year ago, but it was really hard. It was really hard. I mean, you have a dog, even if they only live, 9-10 years. That's still a long time to have a family member that you then lose very suddenly. So I am sorry for your loss.
It's all right.
So I know that we got some folks here. Alpha, I see you. Autumn, I see you. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions tonight, we do have a question queue open. Feel free to type in !Q, follow with your question. That'll pop it into a question queue, and we will get going here. So you do have a lot of diverse interests that we just listed off: creative writing, blogging, ziplining, WWE. How do those activities contribute to your overall well-being and identity?
Well, depending on which one we're talking about, we can go to one I know during wrestling. Pretty much opened a lot of books for me. It led me to commentating, for one thing, at certain local wrestling shows. So, at a World One, because that's how I just met the other guys. But it also helped me through my life. It gave me the confidence I didn't have when I was a child. Pretty much, despite it being a show, all these wrestlers, you didn't see Superman shooting lasers. You saw spine busters. You actually saw real life Batmans and Supermans. That's what I saw from a kid, and it just never left me. I don't feel like I can betray what helped me out. I mean, it gave me the confidence when I didn't have it. And I'm not saying it gave me confidence through my whole entire life. No. When I was watching it, I felt safe and secure in a role that I didn't belong in.
Yeah. And
I question I belong in still. I don't know if I belong in it. I'm not saying I'm going to go commit suicide. I'm not trying to say that at all. I'm just saying this world wasn't built for me.
Yeah, yeah. Were you a wrestler, or do you just enjoy WWE, the watching audience experience?
I just enjoy it. I make too many cheeseburgers to be one.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it could help you bulk up. Yeah, I had a dear friend who really loved WWE, even in high school, and she was so enthusiastic about it. It was really cool just to watch her light up when she was talking about something that she enjoyed so much. And she really bonded with her dad over it. They both had this love of WWE. So it was really neat. But I like that. I mean, and I feel like there are a lot of things that we look at in our life and we're like, okay, well, this gave me a lot of confidence, whether that's reading certain books or watching certain things on TV or just kind of, enjoying something around you. Not a lot of people really give that a lot of credit. So I'm very glad to hear you say, it gave me a lot of confidence. That's awesome.
It is very awesome. And then with others, like the zip lining, we can go into that a little bit. I'm just an adrenaline junkie. I mean, I like feeling the moment. That's probably also why I like wrestling. The more I think of it, is everything in the entrances gives you adrenaline. When you're trying to root for your superstar to win a match, it gives you adrenaline. I like the adrenaline feeling. So zipline, I like to feel high above in the air, go, woo, very fun for me. I'm still trying to convince my parents to take me skydiving and bungee jumping.
I've only been bungee jumping. I've not been skydiving. I actually have never been ziplining either. But bungee jumping was a lot of fun. Scary as hell, but a lot of fun. It was good. If you get the chance, I recommend it. Autumn says, autism always brings me out of the woodwork. Autumn, I'm so glad you're here. It's so good to see you in chat and have you here with us. And if you have any comments or questions tonight, feel free to ask them, and we'll gladly have your engagement here tonight. Thank you. So, Sam, what is your favorite life hack?
Well, my favorite life hack that has made life so much more simpler and I think easier for others to understand is once you learn not to care what others think of you and you not to be a people pleaser, it makes life easier. But I'm not just saying that for everyone. I'm talking about for family too. Mm-hmm. Now, do I want to make everyone happy? Yes. Of course I do. That's the end of the day goal. But I realize it's not going to happen every time. I also have an identity. And I might make decisions that might not make everyone that might not make anyone shoot the confetti cannon out. So be it. Now, does that mean, though, I'm going to try to please at least one person? Yeah. But I'll also go to that route of not doing anything. I mean, I don't want to go there, but if I have to go there, I will.
Mm-hmm. I mean, being a people pleaser is something that's really hard to break yourself of the habit. I say from experience. And I still am. I mean, I still am a people pleaser. It's really, that's something, if you can do it, it's a great life hack, because then you're not you're kind of serving your own purpose instead of serving other people's purpose. So, yeah, that's a great one. Hey, Bite,
Well,
welcome.
unfortunately, you can't make everybody happy.
That is true also. You sure can try and drive yourself crazy trying, though.
Yeah, but you just can't at the end of the day. It's unfortunate you can't, but you just can't be able to make everybody happy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to? You have to look out for yourself in that moment. You have to look at yourself first and be like, "Am I happy with this decision?" And are my main people going to be happy with this decision?
Yeah.
My main people, which means family and peers.
Yeah. Autumn says people.
And if they're not happy with it, maybe you ask them for advice, or if you just don't know what to do, you just got to say, "Hey, guys, I'm sorry, but I got to do this."
Yeah. Autumn says people pleasing is literally programmed into neurodivergent folks from an early age. Well, yeah, because it's a reaction. It's people trying to fix you, right? And say like, well, this will help you in life. This will help you get along. This will help you fit in and that kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely. Bite Mark would like to know, what is your favorite poem?
You told me about that.
Yes.
Favorite poem. Gee whiz. Well, it's going to be hard with a poem, but I won't ignore that question completely. I can name you my favorite author, Edgar Allan Poe.
Okay. Do you have one in particular that you enjoy?
Cask of Amontillado.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, my mom is a huge Poe fan. I'm not a big Shakespeare guy. I've always been bored with him. But Poe's really cool. I think the eeriness is really cool. I think I even took my mother to a Poe museum up in Richmond for her birthday.
Yeah.
And I think
that's nice.
I paid in the entry level, like to get in. Like to get in the Poe museum, I paid for both of us.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a fantastic one. And I don't think we've had anyone say that particular one before. We've had folks say Poe. I think we've had Telltale Heart a couple times as people's favorite poem, but I don't think we've actually had the Cask of Amontillado. So that's a great one. Do you have a true crime story that fascinates you?
A true crime story that fascinates me. You know, I've never been a true crime guy, unfortunately, but one that just fascinates me, it's when it involves cult leaders.
Oh,
like people,
I love cults.
such as like I'm talking about good cults. Like there are some good groups out there, or that are for the benefit. I'm talking about evil cults, like Jim Johnston, Marshall Applewhite. What's it? Charles Manson. What the heck? I'm just wondering, how did you get those people to do that?
Yeah.
How did you get 20,000 people to literally drink the Kool-Aid of like Sinane? Well, I think it's what they drank. Yeah, Sinane up in Georgetown. Which, believe it or not, fun fact, that's where the catchphrase "drinking the Kool-Aid" came from. Was from that incident.
Yep. Yeah, cults are always fascinating, and I wasn't intending to say that I love cults in a good way. I mean, I'm fascinated by cults, and I love watching documentaries on them. Bite Mark, I see you. She's quoting me in the chat now, saying I love cults. Look, it's not that I want to join a cult. I don't think cults are good. Cults are inherently bad, but I'm saying they're fucking fascinating. Like, they're so cool to look at. How did this come about? How did this get such a big following, and what was the drive behind the minds who created it? What was the circumstances of everything else?
Interested?
Yeah.
How did they get those people to think there's a UFO coming, you're going to go to the next level? I mean, I'm laughing at that guy's face.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I was smart to realize that, hey, you're not going to get me to believe there's a UFO coming, but you could get others like blah 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 blah.
Yeah. It's something else. I mean, no matter what cult. Well, there was a documentary, Twin Flame. There's a new documentary on, I don't know if it's new actually, on Netflix. It's one that I just watched called The Twin Flame. And boy, even that. And I understand how people join that one because it's about wanting to find love. And that is such a big driver for a lot of people. So it's got this automatic pull. But then you get into some of the details about this is what was going on behind the scenes, and it's just like, that is batshit.
Yeah. And then that's and part of it's probably religion too. I'm smart to believe that people with religion, I have nothing against people who believe in God or Jesus, but there's a right religion and there's a wrong religion. The right religion is, okay, you believe in God. Oh, God, I didn't mean to have that. You believe in God, and if you die, you go to heaven or hell, and you read the Bible. Right? Bad religion means you basically cut distance from your family. You pretty much, you'll isolate yourself. You join the church. You're gullible. You need to know your morals too. If religion is immoral, there's no problem with that. But I don't think your religion should consume you.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, the other part of bad religion to me is if you're trying to enforce your religion on other people. Like, sure, I get it. Evangelizing your belief is something that's important for religion to survive. I understand that. But if you're trying to say, like, you have to be this or you're going to hell, or you have to be this or you're not going to be included in our group or whatever, like, then that's something that crosses a line where it's like, chill.
I've always had a problem with that. Like,
yeah.
like with groups that are for certain people, like, you can only join this group if you're a Christian. You can only join this group if you're Jewish. You can only join this group even if I hate to say this, but it drives me nuts. If you're a man or a woman. Okay. Mm-hmm. No. That should be for everybody. Yeah. Whether you're on the spectrum too or not. This podcast is only for people with autism.
Yeah.
That's not how it's supposed to be. It needs to be for everybody.
I agree.
Everybody needs to be involved. The person who's a Christian needs to be involved. The person who's on a spectrum needs to be involved. You need to be involved. I need to be involved. The person with spina bifida needs to be involved. The person who has a mansion needs to be involved. The person who lives in a trailer needs to be involved. Mm-hmm. You get my point. Everyone, no matter what background you come from, needs to be involved.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And that's so difficult when it comes to religion also, because so many religions aren't like that. So many religions are like, you can't be this and still come to our church. You can't do this and still come to our church and be accepted. And it's frustrating. That's really frustrating.
Yeah. I got a couple friends now. They're part of the good groups. They're Christians, and I totally respect it, whatever. Yeah. But they don't enforce it. They're like, hey, we're going to be Christians. We believe in heaven and hell. You don't believe it? Hey, that's your deal, man. You got your own life.
Yep. Yeah,
exactly. Because I do believe in individuality. I mean, I will never judge my friends for believing in Christianity. Mm-hmm. I would never do that.
Yeah. Yep. I wholeheartedly agree. I think that there are, of course, some groups that should be exclusionary, like victims groups. And if you're a victim of rape, obviously, then there's something that you want to have a safe space for. But that's probably the only application I can think of that should be something that's allowed or supported. But
maybe, okay, if you've been raped or if you've been also having suicide, I mean, it needs to be for everybody. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We can agree to disagree on that. I think that there are some there are some situations that do call for a little bit of exclusionary content, I think. But that's okay. Not everybody has to believe that like I do. So our topic tonight is embracing who you are, and specifically we're talking about autism and your journey. So can you share a little bit more about your personal journey with autism?
So my personal journey begins at 4 years old. Diagnosed then, had a peanut allergy before. Thankfully, I memorized that because I always get those two mixed. Which one came first, the peanut allergy or the autism, not the chicken or the egg. But I was diagnosed with that at 4 years old. I pretty much dealt with my whole life, and still do some days. Exclusion, stereotyping. Every time I've spoken, it was a ghost whisper, pretty much. And I tried my best, but most of the time it didn't work. I tried and tried, but I would just come up short at the end of the day. I was the bridesmaid, never the bride. Thankfully, though, it changed because when I turned 15, it developed really bad. I was pretty much not a happy person. I don't feel like anyone got me. I don't mind sharing this because I'm pretty open about it. At 15 years old, I considered drinking. Not because I wanted to, become this joyful person. I didn't think alcohol would make me joyful. I knew that because of what I saw on television and what I've seen even with my own family too. But because I wanted to drink so I can just sleep, just to sleep it off, man. That's why I wanted to do it. But then after 16, it changed. I pretty much, the bare word, I was fed up. I was done dealing with it. And I thought, all right, we're going to try again. And here's the deal. If I'm meant to be a loner, so be it. I got enough self-confidence now that I'm going to try to fit in. I'm going to make something out of myself, whether I got to do it the hard way or the easy way. And the easy way would have been to go out and socialize, which I did. And thankfully, I did the easy way 50%. But I also did the hard way 50% because I created something that kind of gave me assurance that I wouldn't be a loner. I created a podcast for myself. And it was meant to be a hobby, right? Not expecting maybe 19, 10 hits each episode. But then we got to 20. Then we got to 60. Then we got to 100. All of a sudden, people are now calling to be advertised on my podcast, which I didn't know what that meant. Now I'm getting a call to be spoken in Oklahoma. Now we're playing a gala. And before I know it, we're hosting a summer concert where people are taking my ideas for once.
That's awesome. I mean, it's really good that you were able to find your voice. Sounds like it was really frustrating to get to that point, though.
It's very frustrating that it took 16 years to get there, but I always say better late than never.
Yeah. And did you have a lot of family around you who was supportive during this time, or was that also a struggle?
Oh, yeah. No. They were supportive. I think they had a tough time understanding.
Yeah.
But they supported. They were 100% like, listen, you do what you need to do, man. I'm going to try to do what I can. They did the best they could. But I think they were at points where they were just like, why is he doing this? This makes no sense. And in my brain, I'm like, guys, I have to do this because do.
Yeah. So how did you come to embrace your identity as a high functioning individual on the autism spectrum, and what does neurodiversity mean to you?
Well, it goes back to the story again, but I think I embraced it out of just anger, just out of being mad at pretty much everyone.
A little bit of spite.
I was spite. I was fed up, and I thought I had to do this. Like, I had to embrace myself, or I will not make it. And clearly, I made it. But to answer your second question about neurodiversity, to me, neurodiversity means there's diversity in the world, and everyone's accepted for who they are, whether you got a mental health condition or a physical condition.
Yeah. And that can be really hard for people to understand, especially if it's not a physical condition. I feel like there's a lot more acceptance of a physical condition than there is sometimes of a mental condition, because
that's very
visible.
Aggravating. Because it's the same. They're both the same issue. I mean, why can't we have literally, like, I know this is handicap parking. Do you know that might be beneficial for someone with autism?
Yeah.
That could be beneficial for someone with OCD. Not just for someone in a wheelchair.
Yep, absolutely. Can you share some key aspects of the autistic experience that you think are important for people to understand?
What do you mean by key aspects? I bet I didn't understand that part.
That's okay. Just like describe what I hate to say, like a typical case of someone having autism, but what is kind of life with autism like for you?
Well, it avoids me not getting my shirt wet, or basically trying to avoid that. Heightened sensitivity is something that most of the spectrum have. It's me trying to read a room. It's literally right now, I'm reading about this room that, okay, I'm on a podcast interview. What should I not say? Okay, I shouldn't probably mention farts. I mean, just out of professionalism. I mean, you get what I'm saying, though. I mean, it's reading a room, trying to figure out what to say and what not to say. Clearly, I'm not going to go to my Davis Hall that has tutors and mention social studies to a math teacher. Or a math tutor, excuse me. It's just trying to figure out those little kinks.
Yeah. For the record, you can mention farts here. We do not care.
I know, but it's just trying to be respectful. But you get what I'm saying?
No, I get it.
You can't mention farts to your 86-year-old grandmother.
Right.
Just out of respect.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I talk about that with my kids also because I cuss and they hear me cuss. And there have been a couple situations where I'm like, okay, you stubbed your toe and you said damn it. And that's fine. If you stub your toe at grandma's, we don't say damn it. I don't even say damn it at grandma's. Like, well, that's not, you don't do that. So we talk about like at school, at grandma's, maybe at grandpa's it's okay. But yeah, that situational awareness is really hard to find. Oh, I haven't seen that emote in a long time. I forgot that we actually have a fart emote on this channel.
Oh, you do that? That's great.
Yes.
Mine was shit.
Yeah.
This is kind of funny too. Mine had the exact same issue as a child, so don't feel bad. Mine was shit. So
Yep.
mine was my grandmother. My grandmother, God, she's definitely a saint, but she has a sailor mouth. So she would go when something go away. She'd be, oh shit, and then I'm here in front of her grandson who's listening to everything she says. So when I'm going to preschool, I'm saying shit, and then the teacher's catching on to it, and he's telling mother, I think he's been saying shit. Do you know where he's got that from?
Yeah. The where did they get that from is always hilarious to me because so my oldest is 17 and his I think it was his very first cuss word was damn it. And what he said was to that Weimaraner that I mentioned that we put down a couple years ago. He was standing there and the dog had eaten his toy and he just looks at his toy and he looks at the dog and he goes, damn it, Harley, because that was the dog's name. And he said it exactly the same way that I said it whenever the dog would eat my shoe. Because I would look at my shoe and I would look at him and I go, damn it, Harley. And it's like, I know exactly where they got it from. It's from me. But yeah, I mean, trying to read a room and understand the context of what's going on around you, that sounds like it's a very specific challenge. Is there anything
it
else?
doesn't make sense to me because there's extra rules too. So
Yeah.
let me explain what I mean here. I get universal rules. You don't steal. You don't go rob a bank. You don't steal a pencil, right? You don't slap your mother in the back of the head. I get that. But when you add extra rules that you don't do here, okay, here, I don't have to take my shoes off. At a friend's house, I don't really hang out with anymore, not just because we hate each other, just because we kind of grew apart. I had to take my shoes off. Okay. No, if I take my shoes off there, we had to take my shoes off here.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going? It lacks consistency.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes total sense. So, in your mission to destigmatize negativity around autism, what do you find that people misunderstand, and what kind of misconceptions do you think are the most important to address?
Everyone on the spectrum is literally, and I hate this term, but it's what society uses, low functioning. I hate that term because in my brain it's too harsh.
Yeah. It sounds really harsh.
Because they're not low functioning every minute of their life. Okay, Have you put them in front of a piano? Have you seen Cody Lee on America's Got Talent? Yeah. Probably when you socialize with him, you're talking to a 3-year-old. Maybe. I'm not saying that's true. If it might be different, I haven't talked to him yet. Hopefully one day we will. But put him in front of a piano and then see if he's the 3-year-old still.
Mm-hmm.
That's my point too, is everyone thinks that when you hear autism, you think people that are just can't do anything, that when you talk to them, they're 3. No, that's not the case. Now, some it is, I won't lie to you there, but then there's this whole other population that are like me, very high functioning, who might be just delayed in age. And I always say is instead of low functioning, they have the mind of, because we need a term, but we have the mind of is a little softer, but more still true. So maybe I have the mind realistically. I'm 21, probably 20 or 19. Mm-hmm. Some who might be 12, he might have the mind of an 8-year-old. Or if you're, again, on the lower end, it might be a 5-year-old. I mean, it just depends on who the person is.
Yeah. I love this comment from Autumn in the chat. She says, I much prefer describing support needs because functioning varies by day or even by hour. Yeah, just putting it in the context of, look, you don't need to worry about how I function or do not function in this context. Here's the support that I need, or here's the accommodation that I need. I love that.
Yeah, I've heard of support needs too, but that kind of bothers me because Cody, they don't need to know. Like, you don't need to know that, someone who's 26 can't brush their own teeth. You don't need to know that. None of your business.
Yeah. Yeah. But at the same time, if you're talking to someone at work about an accommodation that you need, I think that's the kind of thing, and Autumn can correct me if I'm misinterpreting, but I think that's the kind of thing. It's like whatever fits into the situation that you're in, or into what you're trying to accomplish, whatever, if it's work or family or something like that, kind of putting into that context of what you need in that moment.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say, listen, I have high support needs. That might scare the boss off right away. You might just say, hey, listen, I can't do these certain things. What accommodations can you give me?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to put it too. How do you define success? Because you talk about being very successful, and do you think that success with autism is achievable for everyone with autism?
Doing what makes you happy and fulfilled. So I got a friend who wants to go into film. All right. It's in a similar path, but I would never be able to work on film. It's just not who I am. Probably me, it's going to be podcasting, audio, broadcasting, maybe even the news, maybe something with the video. Maybe. But it's different for everybody. I got another friend. You know what he's wanting to do? Pharmaceutical. That's pharmaceutical work. That would never make me fulfilled in a second. But for him, great. Hey, we need people like that. Go for it, dude. I'm sticking with broadcasting. That's what makes me happy and fulfilled, but it's different for everybody, and people need to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's going to college. For someone else, it could be just working at Walmart. For someone else, it could be just getting the mail every day. For someone else, it could be pushing a hay bale one time a day.
I like that because it's different for every person. Not everyone, my mom and I talk about this all the time because she talks about what she does and my eyes glaze over a little bit. And I talk about what I do and her eyes glaze over a little bit. But I love my job and she loves her job. It's just they're two very different things in this. They happen to be in the same industry, but it's like, you do what you do. I'm going to do what I do. We can talk to each other about work because we understand the industry that we're in. But yeah, it's very much that makes her happy, and this makes me happy.
Even though you guys have different work, do you guys share anything in the common? Like, do you guys have anything that you two do together that makes you both happy, like cooking or shopping?
Yep, exactly. Together? Yeah. It's just finding those things that are similar. And we do talk about work all the time. She'll call me about something that she's dealing with, and I'll call her about something that I'm dealing with. And like I said, we can talk about it because it's the same industry. But it's just the specifics of her job, I do not think would bring me any level of joy. and the specifics of my job would drive her absolutely crazy. So,
but no. I'm just talking about in different industries too. I mean, I have the friends who are in a similar case with you and your mom, but there's still probably with different cases too. I got a friend in law enforcement. Heck, maybe I wouldn't be happy if I was a cop. I kill people. But when we talk together, we have the very similar humor. We can still laugh, even though we're going for something on the polar opposite ends.
Absolutely. So framing it in that kind of context of success is what brings you happiness and joy, I would think that success is achievable for everyone, no matter what, as long as your happiness is not driven by something that you have no control over.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, $1 million would make me happy. Can I put $1 million in my pocket tomorrow? No. But I also I've got lots of other things that make me happy too. So that helps. I know that some people believe that autism is overdiagnosed or that it's just a label that you can kind of throw on someone. How do you respond to folks who question the validity of someone when they state that they are autistic?
I mean, the way I don't think it's overdiagnosed. You gotta look at criteria. I mean, there's a lot of people who have undiagnosed autism. I had a guest who was diagnosed in late 2021. I think it's becoming more prevalent for sure, but I don't think it's getting overdiagnosed. I don't think that.
I don't think it is either, but there has been a push of like, oh, everyone's got mental illness now, or it seems like everyone has ADHD now, or everyone has autism now.
Oh, I get where you're
See
going.
a lot of
really
those comments on Facebook. Yeah, I would love to hear
This is
it.
reading the room and no filter. People are starting to get their head out of their ass.
Yeah, I agree.
That is the 100% reason. They're finally starting to see now, oh, these people who were once institutionalized like Temple Grandin are actually geniuses. There are people out there who are now changing the world. Look at Bill Gates. I mean, I've heard rumors of him being on the spectrum. I've heard Elon Musk. Do you see what these guys are doing? I mean, there's a theory out there that through Megan Prescott, the people they thought who would get bored and go take an island or go conquer the world, like people such as Christopher Columbus, had ADHD or autism or a mental health issue because they were bored.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't prevalent at the time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, because I think a lot of it, first of all, there's so much more research now that helps define a lot of different things, and the accessibility of getting mental health care or even getting physical health care continues to go up. It's not perfect, it's not even ideal in some cases, but it continues to go up. And I think as that goes up, it feels like, yeah, you're going to get these comments from your grandpa on Facebook saying, oh, everybody's got this, but it's the very it's the boomer comments, right? Of well, you're never going to have a house because you're never going to save your money. It's like, well, look at the cost of goods now versus the cost of goods then versus the income of then and the income of now. So yeah, I think that a lot of it is just driven by folks who refuse to maybe accept that kind of thing in the past, and now it's just so much more in your face, especially with social media and everything too.
Yeah, that I think it's a beneficial tool too. With social media has helped that out a big time. Definitely, social media has its cons, but I would definitely say social media has given it a pro.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, because you can find people who are like you now. It's so much easier to say, like, I have depression and anxiety and CPTSD. I can go find people who have those same things and who understand not exactly what I'm going through, but who understand a little bit of what I'm going through. And it's really nice to have those open conversations a little more, especially given that they weren't so open just 10 years ago, which is baffling, but that's such a good improvement. And Autumn's got a comment in the chat. She says, if anything, it's underdiagnosed. I agree. It's like left-handed people. It'll taper off. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like all of a sudden, this stuff is here. Well, it's not all of a sudden. It's just all of a sudden people are talking about it, and all of a sudden people have the means to either get an actual diagnosis or to talk about it a little bit more.
And I think that's also why the podcast grew into what it is. I think part of it was just the confidence I had and the education that I implemented. Mm-hmm. But I also think it was timing. I think the time I started my podcast was the exact same time frame that people were starting to see that, oh, autism's real, mental health's real. Yeah. Let's look this up and learn about it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's great timing. It's great for you. It's great for your podcast.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely a good business move.
Yep. It's so unfortunate that we only recognize autistic people when we're under distress. Yeah. And that calls out a lot of things for a lot of different diagnoses, right? Like you're not going to notice my depression unless I don't crawl out of bed that day. On the outside, other people aren't going to notice it, but I notice it every day. So, yeah. Is there like an Autism Awareness Month or week or April. Day or anything? April, yeah.
Yep.
I'll have to make sure that I do some specific posts, not just in April, but generally speaking.
Yeah, they don't just do April, because every month should be Autism Acceptance Month, every month should be Mental Health Month, every month should be Spina Bifida Month. I mean, every day, acknowledge it. Come
Yeah.
on, don't make it just a month.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I post a lot about depression and anxiety and CPTSD because that's my experience. So I've got to make sure to add in some other things and tag creators like yourself who are in those spaces and creating content around it. I think that would
Oh
be.
no, what gave you PTSD? What the hell happened?
I was in an abusive marriage for 10 years.
Oh, sorry about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, I'm out of it now, so that's
Yeah.
good. But I still deal with the effects of it, and it's something that I continue to work through. So,
I
yeah.
feel I know I definitely can relate to some. I don't have the abusive marriage issues, but because of the bulliness, I think one way it intersects is both usually people who have had abused marriages and people on the spectrum have trust issues. So we can
Yeah.
relate there and be like-minded there.
Oh yeah, lots of trust issues. But I mean, in my defense, if I had had trust issues then, maybe I wouldn't have been in that situation. So,
Maybe.
for folks who may be struggling with self acceptance or facing societal expectations, what advice do you have on embracing who they are?
I mean, well, first, I gotta be honest. I mean, you really can't, no one can help you unless you help yourself. I mean, you have to make the decision. You made a decision to leave that marriage.
Yep.
And that was hard to because you got used to being abused. But my
Mm-hmm.
point is, you made the decision to leave and accept the help. Okay, you have to make the choice to accept the help. Now, once you get the help, it's their job to help them. That's why I think sometimes our mental health system is very broken down because people who are wanting to change, they're not getting the help they need. Okay,
Yeah.
why should they change if they're not going to get anything?
Yeah. That's very true. I mean, you have to make that decision inside yourself first to say, okay, this is how it is. This is what I'm going to do next. Because all you can control is your own actions. You can't control other people's actions. So if I'm saying I'm going to embrace who I am and where I am in my healing journey, then that's on me to do. It's not about, is everyone else going to embrace me? It's about what am I doing?
And sometimes the therapist needs to be you. Like you know yourself well enough that you can only know what will make you feel better.
Yeah,
I mean, kudos to therapists. Don't get me wrong. I think therapy's needed. It helps a lot of people out. But there's
absolutely.
another population who's just like therapy. And I'll be honest, I'm one of those people. It's not because I hate therapists. It's just because my kicker with therapists is it's a nagging session almost to me. Like, okay, here's the problems, da da da. Here's what you should do. Think about this. Okay, think about this doesn't help. What do we need to do? Let's
Yeah.
not think about it. Let's do something.
Yeah, that's hard in therapy because they're kind of like therapist is not necessarily there to tell you what to do. They're there to help you work through and decide that for yourself. So yeah, I mean, therapy is not for everyone, I don't think, unless there's some form of therapy out there that's just like, I'm going to sit here and help you make decisions today.
Right. Or, it would be better if they just said, here, why don't you try this? Let's try this for a week. And if this doesn't work, come back to me and we'll try something else.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's just a matter of finding a therapist who will work with you the way that you want. So my first experience with therapy was terrible, and I thought that's just how therapy was in general. But it turned out it was just not a good fit for me. That particular therapist, so I had to find the right one. But yeah, that's very valid.
Yeah, and I think it's also situational too. I mean, abused marriage, that could be, I could see why you would go to therapy for that.
Yeah.
For some on the spectrum, I'm not trying to undermine it, but I just don't think you would go to a therapist for that.
Yeah.
Autism trust issues is different compared to abusive marriage trust issues.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. You often use the term differently abled, and it was in your bio as well. So how does that perspective shift the narrative around autism, and why is it important for individuals to understand that distinction of differently abled?
Okay. Because despite what we can struggle with, they can do something. I know someone on campus who, I won't say his name, I don't even know his name. I'm pretty sure is low, like, he's definitely a loner. I don't think he's got a lot of friends. I think
Mm-hmm.
he talks to himself a lot. I think he even talked to me very oddly once. And you know, it doesn't bother me. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of things don't bother me anymore. Because of my experience, the only thing that will bother me is if I get judged. But talking to me weird, I've dealt with that
Yeah.
before in my life. I've seen some. That's like what the heck. But do you know what you know what else he does though, other than not talk to people? Even though I can tell he's pretty on the probably not social side because
Mm-hmm.
of just his condition and no one will get him. He actually has a job at our dining hall.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
telling you, very, very good worker from what I've seen.
Yeah. I mean, that's great too, because then it puts him in that
Because when I see
situation.
that guy, he's always doing something. He's washing the dishes. He's serving food. He's maybe cleaning up the grill. I mean, he's doing something all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're telling me you're going to pass up that because of the way he talks? Huh.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one missing out, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just finding that thing that they can, well, and it goes back to what we were talking about earlier too, of finding what makes you happy. It's finding what you can do and what you're good at, right?
Yeah, I think we both do something very similar. So despite the fact that it's cold out, I know I do this at least. I don't know what he does, but I think he walks around with his phone on campus, and he does. This person does say some stuff. I don't know what he says again, but he's walking around, and I think it's music, but it's a little lower than
Mm-hmm.
mine. Mine is headphones and blasting, maybe a little louder too. And we both walk around. We don't do it together, but you know, we both do it and
Mm-hmm.
just run into each other here and there.
Yeah. How can friends and family better communicate with or support individuals who are in their lives who are on the autism spectrum?
I think the best idea they can do is to use what my grandfather is. It's a two-way street. Okay, we can use me. Okay, you know what one of the rules was? If I was going to do a podcast, I had to go to college. So my opinion is you need to set expectations, but there always needs to be a no behind the yes. Okay, so no, you may not be able to go get your dream job as an auto mechanic. Yes, though, you can help me work on cars.
Mm-hmm.
Or okay, guess what? You don't have to. Let me think here. Okay, here's a good example. Okay, no, you don't have to socialize because of just the condition. It's hard for you to understand. But yes, you still have to go get a job.
Mm-hmm. I like that because it's still supportive. It's still saying, I understand your concerns. You're still hearing the person and saying, like, I understand what you want to do. Here's a way to get something that's similar, but within the realm of possibility. That's going to be something that is healthy and makes you happy still. So that's great.
Okay, here's another example. I understand. Okay, no, you don't have to wear a suit and tie to your funeral. Yes, you need to wear nice clothes though. You
Mm-hmm.
can't go in your grandpa's funeral with pajamas.
Yeah. Yep. To be clear, if you're going to my funeral, though, you can absolutely wear pajamas. I don't mind. I mean, I'll
At
be
least
dead.
one person.
So.
Hey, no one will see you.
Yeah, right? It'll be fine. So I want to talk about your podcast a little bit. So it's called Autism Rocks and Rolls. How has your podcast become a platform for changing perspectives on autism and encouraging others to embrace who they are?
We're trying to encourage people to embrace who they are by just, I'm going to give you the facts. I'm going to give you my opinion, but also, I'm also give you some ideas and what I've done to embrace myself. I'm going to tell you these bullying stories. Now, I'm going to tell you, I may not be able to heal from them, but I'm going to tell you, this is how I moved on.
Hmm.
I never healed from them. it still bothers me that someone took the time to text me, "You're dumb as fuck."
Mm.
But, I got to a point where I could put it on the back burner. Let me tell you how I did that.
I like that because you're just kind of sharing the stories, right? And I know you interview a lot of folks as well and kind of get their experience too. So I think that you're giving folks a platform to kind of listen to and connect with other people.
Yeah, I want to make my podcast as inclusive as possible because a lot of mental health podcasts, they just focus on one mental health aspect. So maybe it's addiction, alcoholism, OCD, just autism. Okay, not me. Let's make this big umbrella a bit bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And I totally agree because if you focus down on just one thing, the thing that I love about podcasting is that you get to connect with so many different people and learn about so many different things and hear about so many different experiences. And that's what I love listening to a podcast for. That's what I like creating this podcast for. It's something that's really cool. And I love that you have created this space of inclusivity and just making sure that you're as open as possible to other people's experiences and sharing them and giving them your platform to use as well.
Yeah.
There's a comment in the chat. It says, okay, all right, I can explain. It says, having a PvP tag during the interview stuff makes me imagine funny things. So I have these tags on my channel for mental health and PvE and PvP and all these different things. I don't remember what the rest of them are. There's several, like backseat gaming allowed and English and closed captioning and just all kinds of stuff. It is kind of PvP though. We're talking back and forth, We're not aggro on each other, but it's one person talking and then the other. And us also.
That's how you're supposed to go, dude.
Yeah. Plus, mental health is like PvP with your own brain sometimes. So there's that. So Sam, how do you balance your college studies and majoring in media and entrepreneurship with your podcasting and your advocacy work while you're doing both?
Prioritize. I know what's important first, and I know it can wait till tomorrow. Or at least I try to make the wait till tomorrow ordeal. But if the body is bad, sometimes I'll just call and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna stay up late and do it.
Yeah, it can be hard. You're very young, so you still got that energy to just be like, I'll just pull an all-nighter. But I remember those days. I could not do it now.
But then I don't know. I think I might be able to still. I mean, I have this theory that I might be able to still do it at 60. And I'm saying this, let me explain why, though. I got ADHD.
Yeah.
And sometimes with ADHD, the brain don't stop too well.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if 60 and my brain's going to be able to stop.
Well, that's true. That's a good question because maybe not. When you get in those hyper
Maybe not. Maybe I'll still be able to pull up all-nighters because it's really going to drive me nuts, even I'm 60 years old. Huh.
Yeah. I mean, all right, so I could stay up all night. Absolutely, I could still stay up all night, but I would pay dearly for it the next day.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, would I pay dearly the next day?
Yeah.
Truth be told, I'm not saying that. I mean, I could, but I'm just also saying it's a possibility. I'm like, all right, let's do this. Oh, 6 a.m.? All right, let's go.
Are those birds I hear?
Not saying it's possible, but it could very well be.
Yeah. Well, I do hope that you get enough good sleep, as much as possible.
I appreciate her.
Yeah. Well, it is time for our magic moment of the stream. And if you could wave a magic wand and eliminate one common opinion, misconception, or theory surrounding mental illness, disabilities, or talking about mental health, what would it be?
Abracadabra, stop judging people, please.
Amen. That goes straight back to religion.
I made stupidity disappear.
I love it.
Let me think of another funny one here. Abraca stupidity disappear, please, so that we don't have to deal with idiots.
Oh,
Thank you.
For real. Yeah, I think the judgment is a really good one, because if you are judging other people just based on how they're interacting with you, or how they look, or what your perception is of them, first of all, you don't get their whole story. And second of all, what they're presenting to you is not necessarily fully accurate either. And so, yeah, the judgment, I do wish that would stop as well. I think that's a good one to eliminate for sure.
It'd make my life easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to share your links one more time. So if anyone wants to connect with Sam on socials, we've got website, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, podcast links all coming at you. So make sure that you connect with him in whatever way you would like to. And Sam, I'll just open it up to you and ask if there's anything you want to talk about, anything you're working on, anything you got coming up.
Well, let's see what's coming up. All right. So in February, try again. In February, I'll probably be doing for a speakers retreat. And then in March, I like to call home. I get to go home, which means I'm not talking about my home, I'm talking about another home. It's the Squared Circle Expo, which means it's a big wrestling convention in Indianapolis. And this year, I get to play by being more wrestlers, but also I get to play a little more by being a vendor.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, that's definitely Sam's. I call that event Sam's Fun Time.
That's awesome. Well, I hope you have a real blast for sure. Well, I'll open it up. If we have any more community questions, make sure to pop them into the chat. But I'll also just say, Sam, thank you so much for being here today. This was a really lovely conversation, and I'm glad you were able to take the time in the middle of college life and dorm life and podcast life and all of it.
Yeah, and nightlife too. Thanks. It's 10:25. No, I'm kidding. I didn't mind doing this. Thank you 100%. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, most of my audience is in like their 20s, 30s, 40s. So you got to catch them after work instead of during the day.
I hear you. I don't mind doing it. Hey, I'm just a college kid who's been on who's just appreciative of that. To be on over 800 podcasts is a joy itself, man.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a really cool accomplishment. Do you have any resources that you like to point out, websites or groups or anything?
AutismRocksRolls.com. If you go to that page, there's a links. It provides a lot of resources that others have done, and oh boy, it's amazing.
Love that. Yeah, awesome. So make sure to check out, I've already posted that website, so make sure to check out that website and look for those resources for sure. Well, Sam, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time. And chat, give me just a minute. I will be right back. Stick around. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Even Tacos Fall Apart. A huge thank you to Sam Mitchell for joining us and sharing his experiences and insights on autism and embracing who you are. It's clear from our conversation that embracing who you are, despite the challenges or misconceptions, is key to finding fulfillment and happiness. Sam's journey through self-acceptance and advocacy offers valuable lessons, not just for those on the autism spectrum, but for everyone. His experiences remind us that we each have unique strengths and challenges, and understanding and accepting ourselves is a crucial part of navigating life effectively. Whether it's learning how to better support our loved ones or finding our own path to self-acceptance, there is something in this conversation for everyone. Breaking down stereotypes and addressing misconceptions about autism helps create a more inclusive and understanding world. And it's not just about the big picture awareness, it's about the everyday actions and attitudes we carry into our interactions and relationships. If you found today's episode insightful, I would love to hear from you. Your feedback helps shape this show and ensures I continue bringing you content that matters to you. If you enjoyed it, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and leave a review on whatever podcast platform you listen to. It only takes a minute and it really helps others find the show. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and more resources related to these kinds of episodes. Your support and engagement makes a huge difference in spreading the message that mental health is something we all deal with and that we're all in this together. Thanks for tuning in today. Until next time, remember, even when things get tough, you are not alone. We're all part of this journey together, and every step towards understanding and acceptance is a step towards a better world. Take care and catch you on the next episode.